Welcome back, Astro listeners, to Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Media Monk, and I'm pleased to be joined by our shining star, the Zodiac. It's Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hello, Media Monk.
And we all know Star Lady is Kim Marie, the managing director for our network. EAN continues to provide the finest EA course materials to certify new evolutionary astrologers. And yeah, we have got a lot of other things on the website for soul growth, including that EA course, all of our forecasting webinars that we kind of distribute in PDF form with all the active links to the audio and videos. Several other things. We got a lifetime Astro Library subscription that you might be interested in. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of old EA conference lectures, et cetera, et cetera. Just go to www.evolutionaryastrology.net and peruse around. Call Media Monk, or you can email Media Monk at evolutionaryastrology.net for more information on anything or questions as you get familiar with the website. So thank you for being, if you're a newbie to EA, thank you to all of our existing EA associates worldwide. And with that, we're going to celebrate this new moon in Virgo with Star Lady. Here you go, Star Lady.
Thank you, Media Monk. And for
hey, guess what?
Yes, go ahead.
I forgot to do the most important thing because we're paying it forward with the new moon of Virgo. We're going to have a free Mercury retrograde in Virgo webinar, a 2-hour webinar on Monday, August 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. You've got to go. You got to be on our EA newsletter list to get the free link, and you'll then communicate with our webinar service, have your direct link to join on August 21st. That's next Monday night, 6 p.m. We're going to explore this Mercury retrograde in Virgo from 22 degrees to 10. And Star Lady, I'll turn it over to you now. Thank you for allowing me to remember that plug.
You're most that was an interesting sound, Media Monk. You're most welcome. Come meet yourself. I don't know what he was touching, but it sounded like an interesting sound. Let's just leave it at that. Hey, we are back from our travels post-Sturgis motorcycle rally. We vacate our house to rally vendors. This is we've rented our house out to rally people for 25 years, but this is the third year we've had rally vendors. And so this podcast is coming to you right after Media Monk's solar return, which was August 12th at 19.5 degrees Leo, and it was the day before the Venus retrograde conjunction to the Sun, which happened August 13th at 20.5 degrees Leo. And in case you're wondering what the Venus star point is, that is just a fancy way of saying it is Venus's retrograde interior conjunction, meaning Venus, when it's retrograde, it's between Earth and Sun. It's the closest to the Earth. It's Venus's retrograde interior conjunction over the Sun, Venus star point, which again, August 13th, 20.5 degrees Leo. I like to say it's the aha moment of the Venus retrograde cycle. Any planetary retrograde is at the apex of its retrograde cycle, and the lessons to learn when it either conjuncts the Sun, as in Mercury and Venus, or opposes the Sun, as in the outer planets, meaning outside Earth's orbit, which is Mars on out there. And so, I have said earlier that this Venus retrograde in Leo might be a little feisty. What about me? What about me? Because Venus is making 3 waxing squares to Jupiter in Taurus and 3 waxing squares to Uranus in Taurus. And so we're in the middle of the second of 3 squares with Venus retrograde to them. Venus just recently had it to Uranus, and now it's going to retrograde back to have that second waxing square to Jupiter, August 22nd at 15 degrees. Venus retro Leo, Jupiter Taurus. That probably is the two major themes going on with this Venus retrograde cycle in Leo. Again, creating that sense of spark and tension, squares. What about me? We have to watch that Taurian stubbornness. We have to be careful in case there's any resource things that come up. Love issues come up. Leo, Venus retrograde. Creativity issues come up with Leo. Whew. Taking a deep breath and doing our best to work through those communications, because we are already in the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. Mercury's going to be retrograde August 23rd through, I had it in my head and I just forgot it, September 15th. September 15th. Mercury retrograde from 22 to 10 of Virgo. Mercury in Virgo for 2 entire months, from July 28th until October 4th. And so here's Mercury in Virgo interacting with this Venus retrograde and coming right down to the details. Honey, where did you put our 2 charging cords to the phone? Our phones, our iPhones. Mercury is starting to get its own little bit of feistiness with taking care of the details in our lives. So can we take a deep breath? Can we take a deep breath? There are other things creating a little bit of this active energy in the skies right now. You know, Mars is getting ready to make an opposition to Neptune. That's going to come August 22nd at 27 degrees. Mercury Virgo, Neptune retrograde Pisces. Oh, and lest I forget, the new moon of Leo. August 16th at 23 degrees Leo. August 16th at 23 degrees Leo. And oh, by the way, right on that new moon, Sun and Moon make waxing squares to Uranus at 23 degrees Taurus. Ooh, do we really talk about that Leo-Taurus tug and push and fixed energy, my way or the highway? Flexibility. And the thing about Uranus and Jupiter, by the way, is the fact that they are both slowing down to go stationary retrograde. That helps us maybe release a little bit of that stubbornness or tug of war or Taurus investment in security. And I just want to stay right here where it's comfortable. I don't know if I want to make changes. Well, Uranus goes retrograde August 28th, 23 degrees Taurus. Here's the new moon squaring that point right now. And then Jupiter goes retrograde September 4th at 15.5 Taurus. And so Jupiter's a half a degree from where it turns stationary retrograde. So here again, there really is an energy about flexibility that's going on. And bless old Mercury in Virgo, one of its signs of rulership, it does want to dissect everything to pieces and analyze it. Well, it may just pop through those messages of where we need to take a deep breath and step back and learn to be just a little more adaptable and flexible in our life and with others. Those 2 planets turning stationary retrograde also could talk to us about reviewing resources. What are our values? Venus does rule Taurus. And so as both Jupiter and Uranus, Jupiter both soulmate Uranus to their conjunction early next year, it is the great review of what we value and what do we value with resources. And how do we kind of perhaps review our budget a little bit? What do we absolutely need to survive? And what is maybe excess that might not be necessary in our world? Now, what's interesting is when we get to this time of the year in the summer, at this point anyway, we always have Pluto and Neptune and Chiron retrograde, somewhat similar time periods. And right now Saturn's hanging out with them. And if we add on Venus, we have 5 planetary retrogrades right now. Well, Mercury's going to turn retrograde, as we said, August 23rd and create the 6th planetary retrograde. Then Uranus is going to turn retrograde August 28th and create the 7th planetary retrograde. And get this, if Venus would wait just one more day before it went direct, we'd have 8 planetary retrogrades. I'm including Chiron here, everybody. Because Venus goes stationary direct September 3rd at 12 Leo, and Jupiter goes retrograde September 4th at 15.5 Taurus, as we said before. So it's just a little bit of energy, or a lot, that's really telling us throw off the past, release whatever you need to let go of, be open to change. You know, the universe, when we have these planetary retrograde cycles, which only happen from our geocentric or Earth-centered perspective, all these planets and objects go around the sun, but here on planet Earth it seems a little different. So, you know, it really is a Earth-centered phenomena that asks us to release and let go of conditioning factors in our life. And if we're looking at 6, 7, almost 8 planets, you know, 8 chronologically, that are in the midst of retrograde cycles, that's like asking us to review everything in our world, everything in our life, what needs to change. And, of course, our hearts go out to those who have lost everything in their lives in our forest fires, including the four-leggeds. But this happens every day, everywhere, with this changing climate. Could this be one of the big things that we're recognizing this summer with all these planetary retrogrades? That, hey, we have to learn how to get along with planet Earth. We don't get to have dominion over planet Earth. We have to learn how to relate to it. Leroy, Media Monk, and I ended up a week in Buffalo, Wyoming, which is the foothills of the Bighorns in northeastern Wyoming. Think of our Black Hills in South Dakota, but just a little bit bigger mountain range. And we had a 3-day time period where it rained for 3 days. We had such an unusual northern hills summer, cool and wet, instead of the dry mountain west. And we ended up on a couple of drives and some hikes, and the rivers were just absolutely magnificent. Crazy Woman Creek, we're not going to go into the stories, okay? Piney Creek, oh gosh, I can't even remember the names of all of them, but they were just raging with all the rain. And it was beautiful for us to see. But it was just those reminders that Mother Nature is, you know, in charge, not us. We think we are, and we've been playing around with dynamite, and the big bangs are coming back to us. So how fast and how efficiently can we readjust to living differently on planet Earth? Because we're all going to be called into it one way or another. especially as we in the northern hemisphere experience one of our hottest summers on record. So I think you're getting the point with all these planetary retrogrades. I mean, this isn't the first summer that we've had so many planetary retrogrades. We all, as practicing astrologers, will run across those charts every so often where somebody will have 6, 7, or even 8 planets natally retrograde. Bless those little souls coming in. They are the rebels of the universe. And so it doesn't happen. It's not rare. But it can be just that mirror of the times that are coming into consciousness, because when planets are retrograde, they throw off consensus conditioning factors, and it allows us to break free and individuate. It allows us to open up and look at things differently than we have before. Now, that Mars opposition to Neptune, that I said, August 22nd, 27 Virgo Pisces, we're already in the midst of it. That can really have us mercurially going this or that. How do I act upon the old beliefs I'm throwing off, and what are the new ones that I'm opening up to? And then also in the midst of this new moon forecast is Saturn retrograde's exterior opposition to the Sun. That's going to happen August 27th, right before Uranus retrograde, Sun for Virgo, and Saturn retrograde for Pisces. So again, as I said, those aha moments with planetary retrograde cycles come when they interact with the Sun. So that Sun-Saturn retrograde opposition can just be some real strong reality checks for us in some way. There may be a politician or two in the United States going through some reality checks right now. Of course, Mars, Neptune oppositions, they just want to double down on the denial. Like I said, Mother Nature, natural laws, are going to have the last word sooner or later. Stay tuned. The Sun's ingress into Virgo. The EA mantra I created many moons ago. I discern with intuitive wholeness. I discern Virgo with intuitive wholeness. This is a mantra that will carry us through the Sun's annual solar passage through Virgo, and even up until the second super full moon of August. That'll come the 30th, 7.5 degrees, Sun, Pisces, Moon, Virgo. I discern with intuitive wholeness. So how do we ask for those bigger pictures and that answer? And then how do we fill in the blanks or the details and walking our way forward on planet Earth, addressing any of that? Oh, by the way, at the end of the month, when Saturn makes that opposition to the Sun, it's going to be its brightest in the sky, because even though Earth is in between the two, Sun is shining brightest on Saturn. And so you can get out there and look at Saturn in that evening sky. And then when we have that full moon leading up to it, we're going to have the moon hanging out with Saturn. So if you have clear skies, that can be a good time to get out there and look at Saturn. This is when it's going to be the easiest to see in our heavens. Finally, Mars is going to finish up in Virgo, then it's going to move into Libra August 27th through October 11th. August 27th through October 11th, Mars in Libra. This is the opposite sign of its rulership. And I think what I'm going to do is just tell you the Aries mantra for a moment, because it really fits Mars in Libra. I initiate Mars with consideration of others, Libra. How do we balance that equality of giving and receiving with others? Another is anybody and anything. You know, it's us to the planet in the broadest picture. It's the two-leggeds to all other species on a broad level as well. And it's us with all of our relationships. How do we balance giving and receiving? You know, Mars is going to go into Libra right after Venus turns retrograde in Virgo. And so Mars can be pondering with Mercury retrograde. How do I give? How do I receive? You know, how do I balance things out as fairly as possible? And of course, Uranus going stationary retrograde on the full moon, the end of the month, is going to bring up the many ways in which this is necessary in our world. However, it needs to, you know, show up with that, a psychic 2x4. Hopefully you can bypass the physical 2x4s and just go along with a psychic 2x4 with everything. Well, Medium Monk, I think I'm winding down. Comments or questions from you? I mean,
well, no.
One thing that I will say, just very, very quickly, on this new moon, we will have Mercury, Mars in Virgo, Sun in Capricorn, Uranus in Taurus. We do have another one of those Earth grand trines to help us with calming down, to help us with moving through those resource issues as best as possible, you know, whether it's work-related or, you know, budget-related or just how about surviving on planet Earth. So we can utilize that grand trine also for some intuitive help on how best for each of us to move forward. Just wanted to bring in that little grand trine, Meaty Monk. Thank you.
Thank you. Helps me to feel grounded as we speak. So you go ahead and join us for more on Monday night. Get your registration link via one of the emails landing in your inbox. You have to be an Astro newsletter list person. Just you can enroll at the bottom of any page on our website. So make sure you do that to get that free Mercury retrograde in Virgo link to the webinar August 21st. That's Monday night coming up, 6 to 8 p.m. Here on EAN. So with that, I just thank you for the research, Star Lady. You put in a lot of work in research. I mean, it's become easy for you, but it's not easy for a lot of us pikers out there in the astrology world. Not to denigrate myself or anybody else, but just wanted to acknowledge you for all the research that you'll do for the retrograde Mercury webinar coming up, as well as these bi-monthly podcasts on the Star Lady Soul Reader Network. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Media Monk. Ditto back to you. And on behalf of everybody who listens, happy birthday, happy solar return. We're still celebrating it, right?
Yep, 10-4. So thank you. We'll see you Monday night, and then see you in a couple weeks for the full moon. So as always, move with joy and passion on this never-ending journey to the core of our souls. Thanks for being a part of it with us. Aho.